Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations in Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we're exploring something that makes all the difference between organizations that merely understand the future and those that actively shape it, building truly future-ready teams. In our journey so far, we've developed powerful frameworks for navigating change, from spectrum scenario planning to backcasting to futures-informed innovation. But here's a truth worth acknowledging. Even the most brilliant foresight work won't create impact if it remains isolated in a strategy department or futurist role. To truly thrive amid super shifts, foresight needs to become part of your organizational DNA, embedded in your culture, your capabilities, and your collective mindset. Today, we'll explore how to build teams that don't just respond to change but anticipate and shape it. We'll discuss practical approaches for developing futures fluency across your organization, creating collaborative foresight practices, and building a culture where strategic thinking about the future becomes everyone's responsibility, not just a specialized function. Let's start by understanding what makes a team truly future-ready. It's not just about having sophisticated analysis or detailed scenarios. Future-ready teams exhibit specific qualities that allow them to navigate transformation effectively. First, they demonstrate cognitive flexibility, the ability to shift between different perspectives, consider multiple scenarios, and adapt thinking as conditions change. Rather than becoming attached to a single vision of the future, they maintain what scenario planners call strong opinions, weakly held, clear views that nevertheless remain open to revision as new information emerges. Second, future-ready teams embrace productive uncertainty. Instead of being paralyzed by the unknown or clinging to false certainty, they develop comfort operating in ambiguous conditions. They use frameworks like the ones we've explored to structure uncertainty without denying it. Third, they practice anticipatory learning, continuously scanning for signals, testing assumptions, and building knowledge before disruption hits. This forward-looking approach to learning allows them to recognize and respond to shifts earlier than competitors. And fourth, they maintain strategic agility, the capacity to quickly reconfigure resources, capabilities, and attention as conditions evolve. This isn't about abandoning strategic direction, but about adapting implementation while maintaining core purpose. These qualities don't develop automatically. They require intentional leadership, supportive structures, and consistent practice. So how do we cultivate them across an organization? Let's explore practical approaches that have proven effective. The foundation is building futures literacy throughout your organization. Just as financial literacy helps people understand and navigate economic systems, futures literacy helps them understand and navigate change. This doesn't mean everyone becomes a professional futurist, but it does mean developing basic fluency in thinking about different futures, recognizing signals, and connecting long-term possibilities to present decisions. Start with experiential learning. Traditional training often falls short when developing futures thinking because it emphasizes content delivery over mindset development. Instead, create immersive experiences that allow teams to personally engage with uncertainty and transformation. For example, one global manufacturing company I worked with created a future day where teams experienced scenarios representing different possible futures for their industry. In one corner of their facility, they simulated a world of accelerated automation and AI collaboration. In another, they created an experience of increasingly fragmented global markets. Moving through these experiences helped employees viscerally understand abstract shifts and their strategic implications. Another powerful approach is to integrate futures thinking into existing processes rather than treating it as a separate activity. When project teams develop new products, include a future forces analysis that examines how super shifts might affect the initiative's success. When conducting strategic reviews, include scenario implications alongside traditional performance metrics. When setting quarterly objectives, explicitly connect them to longer-term transformational goals. This integration normalizes futures thinking as part of everyday work, not a special exercise. It also ensures that foresight directly influences decisions, not just awareness. Collaborative foresight practices are also essential. Instead of restricting futures work to specialized teams, create processes where diverse perspectives contribute to understanding change and developing responses. Approaches like participatory scenario planning, collective intelligence platforms, and cross-functional future visioning sessions tap into distributed insights while building broader ownership of strategic direction. For instance, a financial services organization I advised created a network of future scouts, employees from various departments who spent part of their time scanning for signals of change in their respective domains. These scouts met regularly to share insights, identify patterns, and develop implications. This approach not only gathered richer intelligence, but also expanded futures thinking beyond the strategy team. Developing clear futures roles and responsibilities helps institutionalize these practices. Consider establishing a tiered approach. Strategic leaders focus on integrating futures thinking into organizational direction and resource allocation. They ensure alignment between current priorities and longer-term positioning for emerging shifts. Team leaders serve as futures translators, connecting broader transformational context to specific team objectives and helping team members understand how their work contributes to navigating change. And individual contributors become futures practitioners, applying basic foresight approaches to their specific responsibilities and constantly connecting their daily work to larger shifts. For each role, define specific expectations and provide appropriate tools and resources. This creates clarity about how futures thinking should manifest at different organizational levels. Building futures-ready capabilities is equally important. Specific skills like signal detection, systems thinking, and scenario development can be cultivated through targeted development programs. But remember that capabilities extend beyond individual skills to collective practices and organizational processes, and consider creating capability-building journeys that combine skill development with practical application. For example, a technology company I worked with launched a Futures Accelerator program where teams not only learned foresight techniques, but immediately applied them to actual business challenges. This created double impact, building capabilities while generating strategic insights. Of course, culture plays a critical role in enabling or hindering futures readiness. Several cultural elements particularly support future-ready teams. A learning orientation that values exploration, embraces productive failure, and prioritizes insight over certainty. Future-ready organizations don't punish well-reasoned decisions that don't pan out. They treat them as valuable learning opportunities. Time horizons that balance short-term execution with long-term positioning. This means regularly discussing implications beyond the immediate quarter or year and explicitly connecting current initiatives to longer-term strategy. Psychological safety that allows people to raise challenging questions, propose unconventional ideas, and engage with uncomfortable possibilities without fear of negative consequences. This is essential for the kind of divergent thinking that effective foresight requires. And narrative competence, the ability to create and share compelling stories about possible futures and pathways forward. These narratives help make abstract shifts tangible and motivate collective action toward preferred futures. Leaders play a crucial role in shaping these cultural elements. By modeling futures thinking, asking provocative questions about long-term implications, and celebrating forward-looking initiatives, they signal what the organization values and how it approaches change. Now, building future-ready teams doesn't happen overnight. It requires sustained commitment and iteration. Here's a practical roadmap for getting started. Begin with assessment. Understand your organization's current futures readiness. Where are capabilities strong or weak? What cultural elements support or hinder futures thinking? This baseline helps target initial efforts effectively. Then, start small but strategic. Identify specific teams or projects where improved futures thinking would create immediate value. Rather than trying to transform the entire organization at once, create proof points that demonstrate the impact of future-ready approaches. Invest in capability building. Develop targeted learning experiences that combine conceptual understanding with practical application. Focus on high-leverage capabilities that strengthen overall futures readiness. Create supporting structures. Establish processes, frameworks, and forums that help institutionalize futures thinking. These might include regular horizon scanning sessions, scenario refresh workshops, or strategic implications discussions, and measure progress, track both capability development, our teams becoming more futures fluent, and tangible impact, our decisions and strategies becoming more future aligned. Use these metrics to refine your approach over time. Throughout this journey, remember that building future-ready teams isn't about creating perfect forecasts or eliminating uncertainty. It's about developing the cognitive flexibility, anticipatory learning, and strategic agility needed to navigate transformation effectively. It's about making futures thinking a collective capability, not just an individual specialty. So here's my challenge for you. Identify one team or department in your organization where increased futures readiness would create immediate value. What specific capabilities would most strengthen their ability to navigate relevant super shifts? What cultural elements would need to shift? What initial step could you take in the next 30 days to begin building their futures fluency? This isn't just about making your organization more future aware. It's about building the collective capacity to shape the future through anticipatory action and strategic positioning. In our next episode, we'll explore how to implement the Futures Operating System, a comprehensive framework for embedding foresight into your organization's processes, decision-making, and strategic rhythm. We'll move from building futures-ready teams to creating futures-ready organizations. Until then, keep building capabilities, fostering cultures of anticipation, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.